What I wanted to say is that, first of all, hi to all of you. It's so great to see, this kind of spirit out there, out here, and it's all positive, and it's for all people, and that's what's so important, because a lot of people, I don't think, understand that, so they have to be educated. So you are educating them. And we all do our part and make it a big, big picture. And that big picture is very full of hope, even though sometimes you think the big picture is not full of hope. And you know what, everyone? I'm going to tell you a story tonight. But before I do it, I want to say thank you to the Center for Safety and Hope, for the work that you... I'm sorry, I said Hope because that's sort of Bergen County, but I'm from Hillsdale, New Jersey, and for the Center for Safety and Change.
There you go.
Yay! Yay! So anyway, I want to tell you that all of you, showing what you do, it's almost. I'm glad that we're taping it, so I will know. What each of you do. I'm talking about the flowers like that, and then talking about helping all types of violence, human trafficking, people that, are born the way they're born and giving respect to, and I just love what you do, and I'm so thankful, and it makes me happy, and it gives me hope, and even with my work, okay? So here we are. What I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to tell you a story. And the story starts very, very bad and very, very much suffering. But the end of the story, which still continues now, has to do with hope. And it has to do with bringing people together in unity for change. Because this is what happened in this story. And then the change is because people are standing up and not staying to the side and just saying, oh, I don't want to get involved, oh, I'm intruding. And a lot of times we know those are excuses. But standing up and really doing something, you got to do something. You just don't want to talk and say, oh, they should do it this way, it should be done that way. I hear this a lot. So what I try to do is to make people understand that each can make a difference. And some you get through to, and some you don't, and that's okay, because that doesn't take your confidence away. Never, never, never let anything take your confidence away. And if you need help with that, because see, I learned. I remember at the beginning. A lot of times I didn't have confidence. A lot of times, I just was floating, but still, persisting. And I want the younger people and the people that have so much life ahead to get confidence at the beginning. So then what you could do is much more good in the world in an easier way, not with as much struggle, okay? So you could always come to jonesjoy.org. It's JOANS, joy.org. That's our website. And then you can get in touch with me. And then there's lots of people that help, but I will always make time for you. It could be on the phone, it could be with a visit, it could be on Zoom. Zoom is good, we could do Zoom. So just know there's another person that you could come to. And you will see who I am as I continue the story. Now, the story is about Joan. It starts with Joan. She's my little girl, and she has inspired me to do my work. She was delivering cookies to my neighbor, and he was like 3 houses down across the street, and this is in Hillsdale, New Jersey. And what happened was, she said, "Goodbye, Mommy," to deliver 2 boxes of cookies to the neighbor. "Goodbye, Mommy, I'll be right back." And those were the last words. She never came back. She went to heaven there. In my faith, I believe in heaven, but she went. She did not live in this world anymore. What he did, he sexually assaulted her. He was a teacher. He said, "I knew how to lure her into the house." She was trained not to go into anybody's house. He said, "I know how to do it." So he did it. She went downstairs to the first floor of the bi-level house, and then he strangled her. He took her head and hit it against the floor. Remember, she's 7 years old. And she fought. They could tell she fought. And that was Joan. You know, Joan was going to fight. And then he strangled her again. So he had so much anger, so much in him that he wanted to control a little child by completely destroying her body. But you know what? He didn't win, because her energy would not be squashed, and you will see as we go along. Then what happened was, this was on Holy Thursday, so now we're in that period in this like National Crime Victims' Rights Week. It was on the 19th, and Holy Thursday, in the faith I have, that's a big day, because you have Holy Thursday, then you have Good Friday, and then you have Holy Saturday, and then you have Easter. So then what happened was, community came about, people were coming, trying to find out where she was. And I remember going that night to his house and asking him. I went down the street, went to his house, and asked him if he saw Joan. Of course he said no, but there was something about him that was so cold, it was even colder than a stone, like 100 times over. And I knew, at that point, I knew he had done it. So I left the house, and then I had, Joan was 7.5, I had an 8.5-year-old, and a 9.5-year-old. I had the boy with me, and he was with me, 9.5-year-old, and we went down the street. Of course, I didn't say anything to him, because there was so much drama for him. So then, what happened was, I didn't know it, but people were searching all over. It was all around the United States, in all the newspapers, because this was in 1973, everybody. And in 1973, everything was free. Kids were playing all around the neighborhood. And they didn't even, like, if they saw our friend, they just went and they played. And they didn't say anything about, "Oh, Mom, I'm going with my friend," because that's just the way it was. It was very free, and the kids played in the street. But after Joan died, what happened was, it was almost like overnight, things started to change. People they realized things were not going to be the same. It wasn't as free as it was. But you know what? Guess what? We were just more innocent, and maybe innocent has its bliss, and it gives you freedom, and it gives you just this beautiful grace of life. But, you know, people are people. There are good people, there are people that do good, there are people that do bad. Even before 1973. Even in any century, okay? But this just woke up people a different way. So Joan's case became high profile, very known. It changed things in society. So then what happened was on Easter Sunday, at the site in West Haverstraw, Joan was found, right in your community. And the perpetrator, the killer, he thought he was going to be able to fool the lie detector test, and he didn't. And then what happened is he became like hysterical, and he said where Joan was. Because her body was in Harriman State Park, and it could have taken years to find her. So thank God we found her. That was on Easter, a day of hope, a day of hope. And here it was at the site. The site is on Old Gate Hill Road, and you take Palisades Parkway, and you get off at exits 14, and you make a left. You go up the hill for about 1.5 miles, and then what you will see the marker. See the marker? And that's what you'll see on Old Gate Hill Road. And you'll see like how it's decorated. You'll know where her body was put. There's flowers there now. And here's, here's Joan, little brownie picture. And if you notice, she even had her little bracelet on, She had the whole thing on. And so then what happened was, in '93, remember, I forgot to tell you, since she was found on Easter and she died on Holy Thursday, I saw that as a sign of hope. So throughout the next 20 years, I was always looking for the sign of hope. And it was going to be a sign of hope that was going to be big. And I did have 2 more children then. I had, here's John, and I had Michael. Where's Michael? John?
He's out there somewhere.
Michael's there. That's Michael. And first I had a miscarriage, then I had Michael, and then I had John. And I get a call 6 years sooner than I thought, and Joan's killer was eligible for parole. And this time it was going to be very tough to keep him in. Because in '73 he got life, which meant 14 years at that time meant life. So he had been in prison for 14 years. So we had to fight. We had to fight. And a movement started. It just started because of the people, the unity of the people. And what we did, we had green ribbon campaigns because Joan loved the color green. Her second color was orange. So we had a green ribbon campaign. And what we did was also have a petition drive, and we had a vigil of about maybe 1,500 people. And we got all this to the parole board. The parole board listened to the people, everybody, they do, especially when you gather in group, like in unity, you're showing that you want like something, like good for society. So here it is, Joan, who was this little girl, a leader in dance class, social butterfly in the 2nd grade, loved to read, kind, would help the child that was on the playground that was like really shy, and would say, come play. And she was the one that said, and somebody told me this about 15 years ago, when she was playing with the kids might be fighting, and she would say to them, you know what? Let's go play, let's go do something. And she didn't want, come on, let's stop, So that's the way she was social justice, even though she didn't realize that. So now, all this social justice is going on. We are fighting to keep the killer in prison. he does not win. He stays in prison. And this happens a few times because he's not only eligible at the time in the 1990s, he's also eligible 2008, other times also. So now, what we do is we go into change, because I said we needed to have change. Because of change, with all the people working together, we got 5 laws. One law is Jones Law in New Jersey, and I'll tell you what Jones Law is. On the federal level, every place on the federal property in the United States. Then we got the Justice Victims Law, and that one everybody should know. There's no more statute of limitations to sue the killer. Before, at the time when it happened to Joan, there was only 2 years. So by the time I got to do that, he had spent all his money on appeals, because he did have an inheritance. So what happened was, the Jones Law says no parole ever for people that assault children under 14 and murder them. Then, that was the first law. That was in 97. Now the one we got in 2017, that one expanded the law to under 18, because there are a lot, it would help the children that were even victims of human trafficking. Now, what we're doing here in New York State is working on the 6th law. It's the expansion of Jones Law in New York State, and it is called Paula's Law. Paula was a teenager who was assaulted and murdered here at Pearl River. We just had the press conference Monday, and it was on the reintroduction of the law, and it looks, the people working on it, the senator and the assemblyman, and that's Assemblyman Lawler, and that is Senator, it's Reichlin Melnick. I mean, you know, very, very dedicated to it. So now we go into the change. So here we are. Joan's legacy is like just blooming and blooming and blooming. And in fact, there's a documentary in the works now, which will be going into film festivals in the fall. And it is about the story. They're doing a story on Joan and myself, because I'm her voice. I'm a voice, and everybody else. I say everybody else's voice. It's not just my voice. So now John is going to say something.
Saying to hold up for some reason. Hi everyone. Oh yeah, right. I just wanted to let everyone know about the Jones Joy Foundation that was formed in '98 by my mother, and we have the Fun Adventures and Education program. Now this program was set up to my mother thought who were the most vulnerable and already victimized members of society were children who were affected by or were disadvantaged and were dealing with abuse or some kind of neglect. So we've worked with shelters, used to be the Father English Center, YCS in Hackensack, and we've provided fun educational experiences for them, such as trips to Great Adventure, Washington, D.C., and that we've even recently given to the Safety and Change to give them gift cards to buy coats for the children. And so in this way, Joan's legacy has grown, and we even help to provide support services to victims, such as my mother will provide counseling in some way, or give them advice how to get laws through, get change. And a lot of the volunteers that come forward, sometimes share their stories with my mother, and that's how the Joan's Joy continues to do these changes in society.
Thank you. Since we started, we have, with our fundraisers, we have like yard sales, we have Child Safety Fest, with all that, and then people donate too. We have donated maybe about $100,000, $100,000, just from grassroots, all grassroots. Now, to help like the organizations. Then, in fact, we gave a lot of tablets. We donated a lot of tablets to the kids during this time of COVID. A lot. Like, thousands of dollars. And so what I want to say is that there's one thing that I never told you about, the story about the white butterfly. I wish that, the whole world could hear what everybody did tonight, what everybody said. But you know what? It's like the whole world is here, because all the people that represented and came to this mic and came here tonight and come here tonight to talk, right? Or just to come here to support. You represent the whole world. You represent the people. So we are the whole world, the positive world, the world trying to do good. So now I want to just tell you about the white butterfly. The white butterfly, you'll see, there are white butterflies here on the table, and there are little cards that you can take, and the little cards have Joan's little picture, and it has like where I live, and you can get in touch with me. That's like the Joan Angela D'Alessandro Foundation, also known as Joan's Joy. So anyway, this white butterfly happened at the site here in West Haverstraw. And I hadn't gone there for 8 years because I have a rare disease since my teenage years. I have myasthenia gravis. So I couldn't go for 8 years, I wasn't strong enough. So then I went, and it was on April 22nd. And that was like in 2006. Because I hadn't gone, the first time I went there was in '98. And guess what? I'm coming up the mountain after going and putting flowers there for Joan, coming up the mountain, going behind the boulder, and guess what? I see something white, and it wasn't like today, not today's 22nd with this cold air. It was very cloudy and very misty, and it was just a yucky day. And I said, it can't be a moth because it was white. But I said, what do I know? I don't know anything else. Like, I know a moth, but they usually are at night. Well, I found out it was a white butterfly. We have white butterflies called cabbage whites, and the cabbage white became a symbol of the hope that I was telling you about. So from this horror, this is what happened, and there it was. I took it as a sign of her energy, and she was thankful that I could be her voice and really, work for, making Joan's life mean something and save other lives. Because Joan didn't want others to go through what she went through, and I didn't either. So then anyway, we got the white butterfly. So what we did, with the people donated, we built this big beautiful, beautiful sculpture and garden. It's big. It's not really big, but it's just beautiful, and it's big enough though. It's big enough because you'll see if you go there. And what you see is, you see this. It's right like in the front of the Hillsdale train station, so that it's easy to understand where it is if you look on the GPS and stuff. So there you have this garden, everyone, and the sculpture, and it's for child safety awareness, which will go on forever. And on the sculpture, you'll see it talks about Joan, it talks about what the people did, what we did with the laws, and what we continue to do. But you know what? We were able to do it because our foundation is not a big foundation. We do grassroots. But guess what? People donated about $65,000, like people had businesses and all. And it continues today. And right now, if you go there, the tulips are just starting to wean a little bit, and the daffodils and the hyacinth. And then there's like a bench you could go to and sit. And then you could just have an ice cream cone. You could talk to your child. You could just meditate about whatever your faith is. And that's what I wanted to share with you. So here you go, take the things that you like over there, and remember, that, like all of you are special. All of you are very special. And all of you can do so much. And all of us together, together, then it's even that much more, right? So just, like Joan would say, God bless everybody. And I could feel love here tonight. Just, with the people that are here, all the workers, what you do, with your organization. And, the love is just around, okay? So, good night. Good night, everybody. Goodbye. 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 Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.